He doesn't care what people think, do you? No, you just like lick my nose. How do you truly stop caring about what other people think? The thing that truly helped me, first of all, understand why I care in the first place, is understanding that we are tribe animals and we like to be accepted by other people because that is what makes us feel safe and loved. And when we don't experience that, we feel unsafe and we feel unloved. Think of it when you were in school. When I was in school, you always had your little groups and cliques and people who were part of another group. And when you weren't, you were the weird one, you were the outsider. And I was the outsider quite a lot of times. I also had my groups at some points, but also I was the outsider. No one wants to be the outsider. You want to belong, you want to be loved, and you want to be seen as someone important or seen as, you belong to other people. What you see in these groups is that they all start to dress the same or say the same things, have the same opinions, have the same values. And that's why there are so many movements and so many people who come together and belong together and share one opinion together. First of all, it's really just important to understand that this is just a normal human behavior that we have. And when we step outside of what we think is accepted, when we step outside of what we think other people will accept or will appreciate, it's scary because we don't know if that means that we will no longer be loved or accepted by other people. And so when we understand that, we can take a step back and understand that, okay, this is a psychological process. This is not true, because when you step into your most authentic self and you do the very thing that you want to do, that also means that the people that reject you will make space for the people that will accept you. So rejection just actually means redirection, and that means that the right people are going to show up in your life and are going to appreciate what it is that you have to offer. If there are people right now in your life who don't appreciate you or what you're doing and who you want to be and the life that you're creating, let them. It is not on you to change their opinion about you. What's important is that you accept yourself and step into your full power. Throughout my journey of posting on YouTube and being on social media and maybe sometimes even doing controversial content, I received a lot of hate. I received a lot of negative comments from people. In the beginning, it was really hard for me. In the beginning, it really hurt me because I'm a human being and I didn't like what I was seeing. I didn't like that people would be mean online, and I didn't understand why people would be mean in the first place. It just didn't make sense. I was like, why would someone be mean to me? What did I do to them? I'm just trying to help. But then I had to understand that people who judge other people judge themselves. People who are truly in a place where they love themselves, they accept themselves fully, they are okay with the life that they're living, and they're happy, they will not put energy into judging other people or criticizing other people or finding flaws in other people. Only people who find flaws within themselves will find flaws in other people. So I had to realize that the people that were actually judging me or sending me hate comments, they were projecting their own insecurities onto me. I had to realize that while they're judging me, they're actually having a hard time in accepting and loving themselves. Oftentimes it can happen two ways. Either way, they look at you and actually internally they are sad or angry that they can't be you or live the life that you live, and they wish they would have the guts to do whatever it is that you're doing, or they are insecure within themselves and are triggered by you being the fullest expression of you. And so this is also called shadow work. This is where I invite you to look into that deeper if you not only want to heal yourself, but also want to understand other people's behaviors more. Because this is what we do when we don't look at our dark shadows, at our hidden parts of ourselves, what is also called, we end up projecting our own wounds and triggers and unhealed experiences onto other people. And so the more that we understand the human psyche, the better we can also understand that most people will do that when within themselves they feel like something is not great. And maybe you can even look at your own self, at your own life, and ask yourself, when am I judging other people? When am I criticizing other people? When am I looking at other people and having maybe not the most positive thoughts? And this happens to me when I had a very bad relationship with my body and I had body image issues, body dysmorphia as well. I would always judge other people's bodies, while this was actually just a reflection of me judging my own body. This was actually just a reflection of me judging my own image in the mirror. And so I had to realize that as long as I was judging other people's bodies, it was actually just me judging myself. When I understood that the reason why I was judging other people's bodies wasn't because they were flawed, it was because of my own perception of them. When I found parts of myself that I didn't like, these are the parts I would see in other people too. If I had a problem with my stomach fat, for example, which was a very big thing for a long time in my life, I would always look at other people's stomachs and I would always judge them and criticize them and find flaws within them. Or if they didn't have a stomach or had the stomach that I really wanted, I would also be mad at them. I would also criticize them or judge them. So this is oftentimes for you to also go inwards and not only try to stop caring about what other people think, but also ask yourself, where am I doing this, or where have I done this? Because the more that you go inwards, the more you will heal. It's not about you changing the way that you see other people, but it's more also changing the way that you see yourself. Because the more that you heal, the more you will also see what other people are actually going through. And so when I was going through my phase where I was getting a lot of hate comments back then, when I was a vegan health coach and I was sharing my life and what I was eating, and obviously a lot of people will not agree with that lifestyle, I did have many comments of people who did not like what I was doing, and they would find ways to really hurt me. And in these moments, as I did the healing work myself, I was able to look at it from the outside, and I was able to look at the whole situation and tell myself that they're hurting. It is not my responsibility to convince them otherwise. They will eventually find their own way of healing, and I would send them love and light, because everything is energy. So I believed if I approach this from the same energy that they're giving me, if I approach it from the energy of hate and just negativity, I don't want to give them back the same, because that's not what's going to heal myself. It's actually going to make me feel worse, and it's not going to heal the world. I was just like, there is no point in arguing with a person that has an opinion like this and clearly is in pain and doesn't want to change that. So all that I can do is send them love and light, especially if it is a person that is on the internet and I'm not close with. I'm able to send them love and light and let that situation go, so that I can be in a good place and I don't need to pour my energy into someone who is not receptive of that. If this is a person in your real life, it is a little bit more tricky, because if you have to see this person regularly, or you can't just cut them out of your life, which is also, controversial. You could if you wanted to, but maybe it's not that easy if it's family dynamics or whatever that might be. This is where, and this is what I've done, is I get very good at protecting my own energy, and I really double down on my own healing, and I double down on my own mindset, and I double down on becoming so good at staying in my own lane and proving to myself that what I have to offer to the world matters. And if that means finding evidence in the smallest things, this is what I would do. I would find the smallest evidence in the smallest things, so I could build myself up to the confidence level that I knew that my opinion or whatever I had to share was as important as someone else's. At the same time, also always realizing that we will never know what another person is truly going through. When the other person is judging you or making you feel a certain way about you, you got to also realize that we will never understand what they're going through in their life. Even if there are people that are close to us and we even know on a physical level what is going through, we don't know what is really going on internally unless they are an open book and share that. This is why we also shouldn't be judging that part. I struggled with that for a long time with my relationship with my dad. I haven't been talking to him for a very long time at this point, but I really struggled with that because there was a time in my life where he was really good at making me feel bad about, my own opinions or things and try to convince me of his own. And I had to realize that he was on his own journey and he was seeing life through the lens of his experiences and his childhood traumas and just generally his mind. And so I had to realize that everyone has their own perception of life and what they're going through. And so when you get that, you will be able to also distance yourself more from the situation and not let that mean anything about you. Now, obviously, we have also been conditioned to behave in a certain way and say things in a certain way. So let's say right now you are trying to become a famous artist. I'm taking the example of a client of mine who is an artist and she really wants to start her business with her art. Let's say that is a goal of yours, but you believe that there are certain things you're not allowed to draw because your family is gonna not want that and they're gonna judge you for the fullest expression of who you are. We have to understand that this is what society does to us and has done to us. We have learned that certain things are right and certain things are wrong. And so oftentimes we are actually stopping ourselves from being our truest expression because of that conditioning. When we actually allow ourselves to step into our full power and become our most authentic versions of ourselves, that is when we truly heal the world. Because the more you are your truest expression of yourself, the more that you allow yourself to be your authentic self, that is when other people will look at you, and as much as there are gonna be people that will judge you, there are gonna be people who will actually admire that within you. I like the saying that judging is loud, but admiring is quiet. So unfortunately, negative energy and judging is oftentimes so much louder than actually admiration. You have no idea how many people might actually look at you right now and admire you for who you are and your authentic expression of who you truly have become. There's so many people who are watching you right now and they're looking up to you and they want to know what your secret is. When I first started my business, the negativity in some cases was much louder than the positivity. But then all of a sudden I would have people reach out to me. They said they've been following me for a while, haven't liked a single post, but they wanted to work with me because they loved what I was sharing. And so I had to realize that the number of people who were not agreeing with me didn't matter. What mattered was the people who were actually agreeing with me and who loved me for who I was. And so sometimes that period of time might be very quiet and confusing and overwhelming because you don't see the proof. But eventually this is how you will collect the proof that the more authentically you are for who you are, the more you will actually show other people how it's done. And that is the power of letting go of what other people think. This is where you become the leader and you become stronger than everyone else. And when you do that, you step into the fullest expression of yourself. And that's how we as a collective will heal. And we as a collective are going to change the world. I really hope this was helpful for you. If it was, please let me know down below. Subscribe to the channel. Sending you so much love. And until the next time. Bye-bye.